we're going to kick this off by introducing myself, Ahmad and
What's up, Rich Wonders?
Mr.
Hey, Zachary Kepes here.
Mr. Zachary Kepes. Thank you so much for hopping on.
Thanks for having me. Love these guys.
Absolutely,
really
we appreciate you. You're a big asset in our business, but also a huge influence and a great character. Someone that everybody is looks up in a way. So we appreciate you, and we want to kick this off by introducing yourself to the people that don't know you.
Sure.
Just give us a quick synopsis of what you do for a living and what you do with us.
Absolutely. So again, thanks, gentlemen. Huge fan of these guys I mentioned before. Came out to Arizona originally from Detroit, 2002. Started buying distressed assets, single-family homes, stabilized them, flipped them, and then mostly in 2009 started aggregating those homes to my portfolio, mostly buy and hold. Currently hold over 200 single-family homes here in Arizona, constantly flipping. Renting, working with hedge funds, working with guys like you who are wholesalers. I buy from these guys. I have mentorships. So just all over the board, but just huge passion about real estate, working on passive income, having fun, living your best life, and letting your assets work for you in a passive capacity. So that's what I'm all about.
Incredible, man. And everybody knows you as this super outgoing guy, very welcoming and very warm and friendly. Even despite everything you have going on, which I'm sure is a million things, because in this industry, you look at your phone, it's either oh shit or hell yeah,
Right.
So they're going through all these the emotional roller coaster with your day-to-day business, but you still find time to pour into other people, and that's something that I truly love and admire about you. And I think Rich can
Yeah,
feel
absolutely.
the same. So just to dive into a few specifics with your journey. When did it all start, and how did real estate become your vehicle, really? How did that happen?
So entrepreneurship's in my blood. As a kid, we all have these little businesses. I know you had shoes, you were doing vacuums. And I remember Rich, we did a deal, one of his first deals. He was working with Sean Terry, fell in love with the guy, just as both you guys. In fact, the first deals that I did with these guys, it's a very memorable experience, ingrained in my mind, just how amazing they were with people. This is a people-based, this is a relationship-based business. No different than selling shoes, cars, vacuums. It all comes down to fundamentals and energy, likability, connection, and vulnerability. So I came out here and I knew that real estate was the best business, because when you look at Forbes' wealthiest people, 90% of them are somehow, leveraging real estate in their vehicle for success. And so I looked at that, I studied, I went to school for entrepreneurship and finance and Spanish, and I said, what is the best business in the world? And hands down, I still believe it even to this day, 20 years later, it's real estate. So that's kind of how I got into it. I worked on Wall Street for a little bit as an intern. And I just didn't like the lack of control with stocks and equities and things of that nature. I like real estate because we can leverage it to the maximum ability. It's tangible. We can control, which we'll talk about, volatility, mitigating risk. And we're really the captains of our domain, leveraging real estate as that vehicle for our financial future and, autonomy and, just our platform for wealth.
Absolutely. And I think one thing that's pretty incredible is you have a pretty lean operation, right? You're super hands-on with a lot of stuff that you do, and you do a lot of stuff where people, we all think that we're busy, but do you have a property manager now, or you're still doing?
Nobody believes me, but I say this all the time. The first time I went for leverage with the bank, they're like, so let's meet the team. Where's your office? I said, my Prius is outside. I'm the property manager and acquisition specialist and rehabber. You're meeting the team. So I have crews, that are independent contractors that work for me that do the remodels. I have an assistant now that I brought on full time finally, and a bookkeeper. So we run very, very lean. I work out of my house. Some people have this vision that, they need this big space with the big signs and all this overhead. At the end of the day, you need a good cell phone. You need good relationships. You need good people that you can delegate to. But people overanalyze everything that they feel is essential in this business. It's really not. It's a fundamental, basic business with good systems and infrastructure. You can run very, very lean.
Yeah, because I remember so our first deal, the way I found you was I saw you bought a property down the street.
Yeah.
And I looked up your LLC and your number was on there, and I called you and you picked up the phone. And it was so it's so crazy how I think that's one of your superpowers is since you are so hands-on, like people can just, you know what I mean? When there's opportunity, you just jump on that.
Absolutely. Yeah, early bird gets the worm. 3532 East Hearn Street.
That's right.
The house. I remember the deal. 3-2 with the pool, 1,092 square feet. Check the records.
Yeah. I remember, and you walked through it, and I was like new in the business, and I remember you saying like you knew the developer's name, and you're like, yeah, I've done this, and we're gonna take the plumbing and move it through here and build this out, and like you just rattled it off like it was just like you knew it like the back of your hand. And I remember like when I was brand new, I was like, wow, like this is pretty cool. Like I want to get to that level where I know the business like that.
Right.
And I just remember you made like a strong impression on me too. And then, it's crazy. That house was a doozy too. That
house was disgusting. I remember
oh my
this
gosh.
wood fencing falling in. There was hoarders. I think there was some like transient crackheads that were coming in and out of there. But you were so gentle and just respectful of the people that were transitioning. I even recall you helping them move to wherever they were transitioning to, a manufactured home or a temporary hotel, and helping them move stuff out, and your communication skills. I'm like, I definitely want to do more business with this guy because he's not just about money. He's truly about helping people, and that's one of the primary reasons. And same with Ahmad in terms of our deal, just like transparency and openness. Like there's a lot of wholesalers and people in this business that they're just chasing the money, but they don't really care about the people. And that's why we connect on a high level. We share those same values.
No, absolutely.
It's very important to understand that in the business because people like to work with people they like and trust, even clients, right? That's how we approach the business, and that should be the same way we approach each other. The thing that always stuck with me about you is really that you said what you were gonna do and you did it, right? Because there's no gray decisions, right? And I when I think of you and your business and your lifestyle, the only way you'll be able to sustain such model is you can't make gray decisions. Correct. You can't make false promises, right? And being a businessman, you are, even as a one-man team, producing such high volume, you're doing deals constantly, you're in the escrow office probably more than you are at home, but being able to do that, you have to be quick in decision making.
Absolutely.
And I've highlighted this in several conversations that I've had with people that work with me and people that are in my network is really speed is key. Yes. Right, in this business, and making decisions faster is what gets you to that next level. Absolutely. The only difference between you and somebody who's just starting in the business is the information catalog that you have in your brain, which allows you to make decisions a lot faster. And can you elaborate on that? How do you process that much information and have this tool belt and have all these different tools to be able to execute accordingly and shorten that time?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. I think it's always about, being physically and mentally prepared, and then having a little luck along the way. When luck meets preparation or preparation meets opportunity, good things prevail. And so you're right, I'm never indecisive. It's black and white. There's no gray areas. I walk out to the house right after the hike this morning. Agent called me. I walked out to the house. 5 minutes later, he says, so what are your thoughts? I go, I'm good. I'm good at 420. Nothing else? I go, nope, inspection's done, I'm done. Here's the check. Let me know what day you want to close. That's my only question. He's like, that's it? I said, that's it. Next, I got other opportunities to go to. And the reason is because I was prepared. I looked at the deals. I analyzed what's pending, what's going on. I also have homes around the corner. So the fact that I do a lot of volume and I'm constantly studying and looking at the numbers consistently, I stay in my own lane. I'm an expert in Arizona. I don't try and buy in other states. There's people that have all these different business models thinking, I want to be national. Hey, to each his own. God bless. I wish abundance for everybody. The reason I feel I'm successful is because I'm so hyper focused on our market. There's enough opportunities here to be an expert so I can be very decisive quickly with a lot of information that I know because I'm trading these. It's like an insider trader. You know what's going on in the company. I'm like the accountant within Nike, and I know what the numbers are going to be, so I can make a quick decision. Is this shoe a good buy? Because I'm only buying Nike. I know. I buy single-family homes. I'm not doing land developments. I'm not doing commercial. I know what the market's trading. I know what the downside risk is if I have to rent it. I know what my capital costs are. So when you're very dialed in and you're prepared, you're ready. You're going to be prepared for success effectively. And giving solid numbers. If someone asks me for a number and I can't get it, I'm still going to give a solid number and I let them leverage it. If this works for you, great. If it doesn't, I'm not emotional either. I'm very direct and decisive.
Just to touch on what you said really quick with running the operation, right? Do you find it that you work better alone? And that is why you approached running your business by, a one-man show? Or is it because you feel like you have a hard time letting other people do what you do? What is the thought process behind that?
I've always been kind of a solo entrepreneur. I've had, people invest in deals before, but I'm so type A that I would worry about, are they going to do it? Are they going to do it the way that I'm going to do it? So by me going back and double checking or following up on the deal or rerunning the numbers is a waste of time. I happen to run faster as a solopreneur. Now, I love doing joint ventures with people, but I still have to be the captain and be the majority partner because I'm so anal. But I miss and I love the camaraderie of that interaction with the JV aspect and the collaboration and that synergy and, having these conversations and again, celebrating the successes. What's the point of making money if you're not going to do anything with it or you're not going to enhance somebody else's life as a partnership? Let's go out and celebrate. Let's go have a nice meal. Let's go have some steaks. Let's get to know each other on an intimate, level. That's the beautiful thing about this business is just so much opportunity and collaboration.
And I think it's super important to highlight that every person that you come across and you're presenting this identity to, it becomes a consistent theme. And that really paints who you are as an individual for the rest of the people. Because at the end of the day, this is a very small business, right? It's a very small circle of an industry, especially if you're playing in your backyard, right? We're all here, we live here, we work here 24/7. A lot of people are virtual, are nationwide. But I've personally thought that playing in my own backyard, you've got a lot more leverage, right? Especially because if comes to be, I need to be at the property right away. I need to meet a seller where I'm able to secure a better deal, meeting the person face to face. There's no way to replace that. I don't care what type of acquisition person you hire. That personal connection, feeling somebody and letting them know you're going to solve a problem that they've been thinking about for months or years, that is, to me, goes a long way. And I think that's what resonates with you, which is why you've built that system, which, again, people that know you know what you're all about because you have this consistent image or consistent identity that you portray to the people around you in your network. So
yeah, like an offer from Zach or an offer from someone else that's the same price, people are going to pick Zach because they know he stands on his word. Right. He's not going to do any weird stuff. Right. He says it's a go, it's a go. And I remember even on our first meeting, you set the standard of hey, listen, basically I know you probably deal with a lot of people that are full of it. I'm not that person. Boom, 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 boom. You went and got the cashier's check. Yeah. You're let's ready to roll.
I remember we were meet me to the bank. The bank's closing. We got to get this done before 5. I'm going to get you. You're Zach, it's not a deal unless I have the cashier's check. I'm Rich, relax. I'm going to get you cash. I'll give you a personal check right now. We'll get you cashier's check later. He's I need the cashier's. We're racing to the bank. I'm hey, we're good. We're good. I know because the first deal was somebody. You never know. Yeah. I'm hey, we're good, man. When I tell someone we're good, I've never canceled a deal. And I've done thousands of deals. I've never canceled. If I say I'm not going to sign a deal, I'm not going to do something, I'm not going to do it. And that's key. Your word is your bond. You screw one person in this business to try and make, in the sprint mentality, I'm going to make an extra money and do something shady. You're done. Right. This is a marathon-based business. It's a relationship business. So be mindful. If there's a quick opportunity to make some shady money, I'm the first guy out. Especially in the short sale era, agents be hey, here's the deal, Zach, you can buy this, and then they're going to buy it back. I'm that's not arm's length. I'm not comfortable doing that. You got the wrong buyer.
You're a big energy guy.
Yes.
I could tell you've constructed your whole home to flow and have that very vibrant energy. And how does that play a role in your everyday interactions, your everyday activities?
Yeah, I like meeting people face to face. If I'm going to do business with new wholesalers or I FaceTime them, I want to look people in the eye. There's a lot of these virtual operations. They can be very successful again, but by working in my own backyard, I want to see it, feel, and touch it. I always say, hey, if you're going to go buy a hamburger at McDonald's, you don't need to get in the kitchen for $9 or $5 or a pizza at Little Caesars. We're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars. I want to meet the people. I want to see if there's some shadiness. You can always feel the energy of other people. They're going to feel your energy. You always want your energy enters the room before you do. I say that all the time, and I try and be as positive as possible. I'm a very routine guy. I wake up in the morning, I want to work out, want to relax, and kind of meditate by walking and working out, and then bring that positivity and energy to each business interaction and engagement, because people pick up on that, and people want to do business with people that they like, and those energies connect and flow organically and naturally, the same way that we've connected.
Absolutely. You don't chase, you attract, and that's the big part. Yeah. You've set up the hiking every other Sunday, right?
Yeah, so it's just, something that we've created during COVID, getting community together, like-minded people. Your vibe attracts your tribe. Like I said, there's an abundance of opportunities and amazing relationships and personal relationships and business opportunities have prevailed from that. More importantly, a sense of family and community and collaboration and synergy. And, you guys have different coaching. You're unleashing a coaching program potentially, and you'll probably have some new opportunities. Everyone's got their niche, and there's a space and a time for everyone to connect and enhance and grow and learn and prosper together.
Absolutely. I think that's awesome because I love the priority you put on character and like core values. Like I can definitely tell like you're, and that's a rare thing because like a lot of people, every relationship, they're just kind of looking at like, okay, what could this person give for me? What could I maybe offer them? And it's very like transactional. And I think like, I love the fact that you just kind of have like this open energy that you just want to help people. You just want to see people win. You know what I mean? And you just like take someone and look at like the way that they operate, right? And that's someone if you decide like, look, I either want to deal with this person or not. You know what I mean?
It's based on their energy. I get approached all the time. And like you say, it's either they're a leech or, and we talked about your relationship with your girlfriend, they either, energize you or they drain you. So if someone's coming at me with this negative energy and they're just trying to leech off me, I'm not really interested. But somebody's got, I don't care, you don't have any money, you have no knowledge of this business, but you're open, you want to learn, and your heart's in the right place, and you're thinking about helping charities or whatever it is, and that's a big thing that I look at. I want to help you. I want to see you crush it. At this stage in the game for me, I'm blessed. I don't need to buy any more deals. I just love the art of the deals and the operations. So for me, my biggest legacy is just impact on people, not about me buying more deals. Nobody cares how much money I make. They don't give a shit, nor should they. They stay in their own lane. But they care about how I made them feel or how I've enhanced their life or the trajectory of their family's lives. That's legacy stuff.
We talk about this all the time, and I shared something on my story the other day is people don't remember you by the things you say, the clothes you wear, or, other things other than how you made them feel.
Absolutely.
And you can now recall, all your tenants, right? You make them feel a certain way, therefore they're going to reciprocate that energy back to you.
For sure.
Because you're setting that expectation up front. Like, you're approaching it with that mentality. They've probably never experienced that.
Correct.
Right? They've probably always dealt with a property manager. They've probably been mistreated by their previous tenant. But you come down, you have expectations for pretty much every single person in your sphere. And once those people start to fall off those expectations, you just, you really don't have time for that type of energy, right? To let somebody leech and just drag you down, because you've got such a high scale operation doing high volume. So you want to be effective with your time. So we've been talking about time, and of course money is a big subject when it comes to time, right? And a lot of us are working, tirelessly trying to get to that next big goal or that dream or that next big deal. How do you think about time and money? Because obviously you've got time to spend on your business, but you've got the money to delegate a lot of that business. So how do you position that?
I think I'm unique in the sense that most people at this level, they would say, I'm delegating, I'm outsourcing, I'm going to let somebody else manage. But the fact is, I wake up every day blessed because I love this business. I like interacting. The people that I choose to rent my homes or the contractors that work with me, everyone's like family. So I'm blessed. So I don't treat it necessarily like work and it's a waste of time. To me, it enlightens me. The people that are around in this sphere, like you guys, engage me. Like I was tired from today. You guys come over and again, I'm feeling engaged and more empowered and enlightened and, stimulated mentally, emotionally, physically. So those are the types of things that I don't give a shit. Like, I love that, and it illuminates me. And going back to what you're talking about, the tenants, it's like, these hedge funds and these property managers, they have a vested interest to turn the deal. So almost get them out, get a new commission by bringing in a new tenant and bringing in, contractors and getting probably kickbacks or whatever it is. By having these close-knit relationships and treating people like family, most likely they're going to treat your homes better. They're probably inviting you over for, smoke some weed or drink some booze or, have a pizza or Thanksgiving. It's hilarious. The fact is, that's the goal is just, if you're friends with them and they have that mutual respect, good things are going to happen. I get, most of the times now I don't even list a home for rent because it comes from an internal referral. So basically pays massive dividends. That's the domino effect of having these positive, empowering, solid relationships.
And that is very effective because I'm sure that has saved you hundreds and thousands of dollars because you're not dealing with bullshit. You know, the vacancies, the repairs, you know, the longevity of each property. I can't imagine owning 200 properties. I mean, I've got 2 rentals right now, and they're draining, right? But
they can be,
but the approach is really build a connection, right? Really build a connection with the tenants and allow them that safe space, the same space that you allow everybody else to enter and kind of seek that.
But let's talk about this for a second. Why do you say that it's draining? What's draining about it?
Started off on the wrong foot. That's the biggest part. Jumped in it as a landlord as a rookie. Didn't really vet my tenants very well, and I didn't set the expectations very well. So I'm really they're paying their money, right? They're one of them is a little bit an issue there, and we're going through litigation. But one is, they're good. They pay on time. They're good people. I shifted the mindset when I started seeing how you interacted with your tenants. Right. And as I talked to more landlords, I kind of got that they had such a negative connotation when it comes to renters, but really it's somebody's just trying to live and just stay under the radar. These people they're not aggressive in their lifestyle. They really work and come home, spend time with their family, and that's the end of the day, right? And I think that next step for me is, if I do end up shuffling through or adding more properties to my portfolio, is really just taking the time to build that relationship, which is
key. You're showing up, you're like, hey, this is me, I'm a good guy, I'm leveraging this to feed my family, just like you're staying here to stabilize your family. Let's set the expectations. Great to meet you, I've vetted your applications, you got okay credit, but I see you make money. We're going to be amazing. You take good care of my home, you pay on time. If you don't, my big thing is communicate with me. If you have an issue, a hardship, and life has hardships, there's COVID, there's illnesses, there's deaths, there's, accidents. I get that.
Wow.
Just communicate with me. I'm not here to evict you, when you're 2 days late. Just pick up the phone, say, hey, Zach, we had this issue. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to pay X amount in good faith. I guarantee if you're a tenant or you're a landlord or, investor, open and good communication and creating these direct relationships will pay the massive dividends and make your life much easier. So you're turning some liability with it, it's off to the bad foot with these 2 houses, or you're also letting that energy penetrate you, and that negative energy is going to affect the rest of your big business from a macro perspective. If I'm working out and I'm feeling really good, I'm not going to let that energy. I'm putting up a shield of, hey, I have to put on a new AC. I got a plumbing leak. I got a tenant that just graffitied my house. I'm like, oh, fuck, okay. Not a big deal. I'm not going to let that penetrate. Let's step back and say, hey, the market just appreciated 20% last year, so I missed 4 months of payments, and I spent $5,000 in recouping the house. Net, macro perspective, I'm still up $25,000. Yes, so we can either choose to, let that, penetrate us, or we can deflect. I want to embrace that positivity and focus on the positive stuff and deflect any negative energies or that those bad interactions you're having with those tenants, and stop it immediately with the proper communication. Let them know I'm a really nice guy, but we all have a threshold. When you don't communicate and you don't pay, I'm your worst nightmare. Like literally, that's when I just unleash the attorneys. I don't have time for the bullshit. And good luck on re-renting another place because you're gonna have a judgment. There's no other opportunity, so it behooves you to pay and take care of your financial obligations.
Absolutely. Did you have when you started building your rentals, right? Did you have a point, maybe once you had 5 or 10, where you thought I'm getting towards my capacity of what I can handle, and then you had a breakthrough, or is it kind of just a steady kind of just one after another? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you handle it with so much grace now, and I don't know if that's something that just slowly happened or if you got to a breaking point, right?
Yeah.
And had a breakthrough.
There was no specific breakthrough. I didn't have a specific goal, hey, I want to own a couple hundred houses. Yeah. I just knew incrementally I want to work. I want to aggregate slowly, one brick, one step at a time. As we say it in life, in a marathon, it's 1 foot in front of another, one house at a time. I never bought big portfolios of stuff or just bought this overnight. It's slowly integrating, and it naturally builds by running a good, transparent business, by being bankable, by having good strategic leverage with banks. The big, what I'd say, breakthrough was I would buy as much as I could, but not be over leveraged, because in the beginning it was just cash that I was utilizing from flipping to buy these assets because they were really cheap. In 2009, I was buying homes for $25,000, $27,000, $30,000, and now trade at $350,000 and $400,000. That's insane. It's crazy to even think that amount of appreciation. But the big, catapult, if you will, was when the banks finally said, hey, we're now interested in, loaning you money. There was a couple year period where you had to just pay cash. The banks, obviously with our crash in 2008, didn't want to touch anything in real estate. I'd knock Bank of America. Hey, can I get a line of credit? For what? Real estate. No, thanks. JP Morgan, all the local banks, we're not interested in real estate. Then all of a sudden I started getting letters. Hey, we see you own some houses, free and clear. Would you like a line of credit? So that enabled me to grow. Otherwise, my biggest restriction was getting enough capital or OPM to continue to grow and scale at a high level.
Leveraging is the key.
Strategic leverage is the key.
Do you really just enjoy single family as your vehicle, or do you see like multifamily and stuff like that maybe down the line?
Sure. I mean, I was blessed. I had lunch with a billionaire the other day. Went out with him twice, and we have these high-level conversations and talks, and how do you get to the $1 billion range and this and that. And he says, something that I respect about your business, Zach, that I did wrong. It took me a while to get to $1 billion. I'm like, well, you're only 30 years older than me, but no one's counting your money. He goes, you're very precise and you're very calculated in terms of being an expert at one thing. So do I know multifamily? Yes, I get it. Am I an expert? Hell no. Have I done some multifamily? Yes. But my core competency is single family. So that's the vehicle that I know that I can pull. I wouldn't be able, if I went to multifamily in 20 minutes and saw an opportunity, I'd be underwriting that probably for 3 days. You're spending $40 or $50 million. What's the cap rate? What am I missing? How are they screwing me? You kind of have that mentality versus a single family. 20 seconds, I'll make a decision. I'll look at it first. I know what the numbers are going to be until I walk it, see it, feel it, touch it, then I'm in. So my speed, I'd miss those big opportunities compared to the experts in the multifamily. So I'm just going to stick to what I know. If there's an opportunity for multifamily and the time frame aligns with the due diligence period and I'm comfortable doing it, certainly I would do it. I think I have the capacity now to do a value-add multifamily conversion. I mean, you see these people making money. But again, I like staying in the HOV lane with the single-family homes. It works for me. I got it on cruise control. I'm very comfortable.
And it seems like you enjoy the process too, right? And I heard I think it was Alex Hermosi was talking about, like an advanced person is someone that's really good at the basics.
Yeah.
And I think you know what I mean? Like the whole steps, you just have it down and I get it. You know what I mean? You can just, on a single family, you can run through that quick and you can just knock that out super quick. So.
Did you play sports?
I did. Everything comes down to the fundamentals.
Yep.
I'm a very competitive guy. Any sport, someone wants to challenge. I don't care. You say, Zach, could jump off this mountain for, $1,000. I'll probably jump off the mountain. I'll take kind of any bet. But yeah, let's become an expert from the foundation up. You don't start building a house from the roof. You start from the foundation, learn the foundation. Let's build a solid foundation. That's education, that's knowledge, that's aligning yourself with the right people, mentors, other people that are running a high-level business, and roll from there. What was unique when I first started, there wasn't any of that. Now the community is completely different. There wasn't Instagrams or TikToks or any of these meetups. None of that existed. I was buying deals from the newspaper, but the key component when you talk about fundamentals is the same, which is for me, and everyone's got their virtual business and whatnot, I'm still a belly-to-belly, face-to-face, FaceTime kind of guy, going out in the field, knocking the doors, looking people in the eye. That's what I enjoy. That's where I excel.
And what would you say for maybe wholesalers out there that are nailing some deals, they're getting some money, but they're kind of on that hamster wheel, right? And maybe they want to get into flipping or holding properties. What would you recommend, first steps for that?
Yeah, I love that. I think the fact that you're already first in, right? I used to be direct to seller, so I buy the deals through online advertising and billboards, and we were on TV back in the day, and it was fun going out and buying direct to the sellers and solving those problems. I love that. In fact, if anyone's in Arizona, they need help with that, I'll be the first guy to go with you and help procure the deals. But I always tell people nowadays, let's maximize the pulp of that orange, right? Why take a little slice of that and give me, and I say that cannibalizes my business, but I don't care. We're here to serve and give back. So instead of taking one slice of that orange, I want you to digest as much as you can. When you're sick of that orange juice, then you call me, right? Or I want you to take a little slice or as much as you can digest, give the rest to your family, and if they're sick of it, then call me or anybody else. So I would say that you're already in the game, you've had some success wholesaling, you've got some side capital. Now digest, pinpoint specific opportunities that you see holding those assets working for you. As a wholesaler or an agent, you're only as good as your last deal, right? by retaining these assets and stabilizing them. If you have a lot of equity, instead of selling those assets quickly for an assignment of 30, 40, whatever it is, $50,000, 40% right off the top is going directly to the government because it's a short-term capital gain. I love to see you stop, digest, take a deep breath, figure out how to retain those assets to work for you versus you working for your money. So align yourself with a fix and flipper like myself or even you guys and ask them, hey, what's the next step? The next step is stabilizing. Can you get some other OPM? Can you get some short-term hard money? What does that look like to, fix it? Ideally, when you start, you find maybe an asset that doesn't require value add. In other words, you're not going to put on a huge addition. Maybe it just needs carpet and paint, something that's more cosmetic, more simple as you get started to retain that in your portfolio for a rental. Do the numbers make sense? And the money behind it that you're putting down or in your other capital, can you qualify from a bank? Can you get hard money with a 6% yield because of your loan to value because your basis is so low? To stabilize that, what does the cash flow look like? You always have to think about what I call contingency planning. So when you slow it down and you digest and you say, okay, Zach, note to self, instead of wholesaling this, if I'm a wholesaler and I put this in my portfolio, the money that I have over here, and if I rent it in a worst case scenario, what does that look like? Do I get cash flow? Am I break even? What's my equity position? What does this look like in today's market? One thing I don't do is I don't factor appreciation in my deals. That's the icing on a cake. If you assume a stagnant market or even a market that may go down a few points, right? Contingency planning. On a beautiful day, I'm the one bringing the umbrella. If you can plan for failure, right, in the worst case scenario, you're going to be successful.
I think that's a great point because something that a lot of real estate investors, I'm very biased when it comes to market crash, right? I wasn't even speaking English when the '08 crash happened, right? But I've learned a lot about it, and I've dug deep and had really good conversations with a lot of people that were heavily invested in that time. But I think a big lesson that we learned from that was don't rely on long-term appreciation.
Right.
Just because the banks can give you that money and you can sit on that, and the old ideology is, hey, buy property, sit on them, let them appreciate for a long period of time. Now it's not really the case. Now it's the cash flow that's really more important. It's that it's only an asset if it's generating you income, and that income should be residual. And I think that for a lot of new investors, new wholesalers specifically, they really chase after the shiny objects, right? And they get to see, as they dive deeper into it, they get introduced to different people and different opportunities, and then that becomes even shinier, especially in today's world. We live in such a social, digital world. Everything is out there, and unfortunately, most of it is not face front true value. It's more so what's gravitating to people's desires, and they tend to gravitate towards that. Like, for example, wholesaling versus Amazon drop shipping and all these stores and what other ventures people are jumping into. And as a young person, for me, I'm 24 years old. I know that time is my biggest asset. Therefore, I'm going to channel my energy on higher risk investments, right? Because I want to be able to take advantage of the time. I have time, right? But for you, I wanted to.
Holy shit! Well, you're only. I know you said this before, but 24. When I use a word called precocious, then you are precocious. You're wise and you're precocious, and your energy. I mean, your experience. You could talk to the billionaire, 75-year-old as well as you could talk to a 21-year-old. You're a chameleon. So much respect for your competence and aptitude and. Everything about that. That's insane. Good for you. That's incredible.
So one thing I want to dive into with you is before I get to risk mediation, I want to get your input on the market that we're in right now. We understand that this is not a financial issue. People have money. People are making money. However, with the rates being as low as they are, with the demand in every sector in the U.S. and on a global scale, how do you see that influencing or changing the market, and what is your input on today?
Yeah, I mean, I get asked this question all the time. I said, if I truly knew the answer, we'd be having this conversation in Vegas, at the roulette table, because you let it roll. It's a $1 billion question. But all you can do is plan, like I said, for the worst case scenario. We talk about risk mitigation. Listen, I put my money where my mouth is, so I'm continuing to buy. The good news is, as wholesalers and investors, we're not buying at retail levels. So we're already coming in at a discount. Hopefully that's 15, 20, 25%. Wholesaler shit. Some of you guys buy it 60, 70 cents on the dollar. You could be the first guy in and easily the first guy out because all you're going to do is lower your price and you still have margin. So that's something that's really solid in terms of if you're buying these assets well and you're tying them up appropriately, you're in good shape. In terms of the buy and hold and the exposure that I have, I get asked all the time, are you nervous? The reason I'm not nervous is the only thing that's really potentially fluctuate is my paper net worth, right? My overall net worth, but it's on paper. Until I actually sell it, I don't realize anything, right? And so as long as those assets are going to continue to cash flow, which we mentioned before, I'm good. Do I have sustainability with the capital behind my portfolio? Yes, I do. I'm not taking these, balloon payments that are due in a year and all of a sudden I'm not going to get renewal from the bank if there's a major fluctuation. I'm looking at longer term takeout debt that's stabilized so I can project and forecast what that cash flow is going to be regardless of the volatility in the market. So again, even deals that I'm buying now, let's say again, 80, 85 cents, if there's a 10 or 15% correction, guess what? I'm still at par. My cash flow is still the same and I'm happy. I always say, where is there a better asset class out there today? I've been in talks with major fund managers from the Blackstones to the Sparrows to Progress Residentials. Why do you think that all these institutional guys are buying and women are buying massive assets in real estate? Because it mitigates inflation, which we're seeing in the sixes, which is crazy. And the returns, rental, there's not enough supply for the amount of demand specifically in Arizona. So that forces, the market to continue to go up based on law of economics. But even if for whatever reason, unforeseen, the war stuff, maybe another COVID outbreak, even when COVID happened, people get nervous. All that does is create more opportunities, what I call dollar cost averaging into the market. So you always want to keep what I call, we shot guns before, we had a great time. You always want to have some ammunition and gunpowder and reserves for those rainy days or for, volatility. All that means is you're going to buy at a lower basis, which will actually overall increase your cash flow, assuming that rental market is, stagnant or continues to go up. So I welcome those opportunities. I'll dollar cost average into the market all day long. I'm never going to leave my bank account at, zero reserves. I'm not driving my car to zero. I'm not playing the game of, hey, let's try and just roll into the gas station, then fill it up. I'm going to the gas station with the quarter tank because I'm always going to have reserves, right? It's that, again, going back to contingency planning.
And having that cushion makes you more comfortable to go out and
Sleep
execute.
at night, yeah. And I'm not over levered. I tell you guys, when you're out there buying these things, if you're buying at 65, 70 cents on the dollar and you're creating value by strategic, remodeling and enhancements, your LTV is still solid. So you have what I call cushioning. That gives you that, ammunition to refi, to burr out those properties, to, if you need it to sell for liquidity, it's just like cash. You could sell that. Instead of selling it 100 cents on the dollar, you're nervous, you need capital for whatever reason, so sell that asset at 92 cents and get out. Right now, it's still solid. If the market did start to shift, you could be, again, the first one out because you're not coming to the table with money. You're still going to get paid because your basis is solid. So be a really good buyer, understand the market, demographics, and buy strategically.
How do you think a market crash correlates with rent prices?
Well,
historically speaking.
Sure. If you look historically, rental prices, even in the crash, they still went up. So all of a sudden there's less homeowners because people are losing their houses. And what happens? They need to rent. So owners become renters. So there's an inverse relationship. And it boded well. It was crazy. Like my cap rates back in, for example, 2008 and 9 were 25, 30, 35, percent. It was insane. So, and I still own some of those assets. Now, what are those yielding me if I reacquired those same assets at 250, 300, or 350, and those rents are 1,500? I'm getting, 4.5s and 5s. It doesn't make sense to buy at that level in those rents, but those rents have continued to increase in today's market. So, I'm not fearful of downward pressure on rents. The concern would be downward pressure on pricing, and can you sustain that based on the debt structure that you have?
Absolutely. And it's not the reassurance for you having that cushion, but also going out and borrowing more money. The banks will actually feel more confident lending you money because you're buying assets that have margin, and they can look at your P&Ls and say, this guy's profitable, let's lend him more money to go out and crush even more. And I think that's very true with multifamily too. The reason why multifamily is measured by cap is because there's, most of it is because there's not a lot of similar infrastructures like multifamily. For example, having a multifamily near GCU is a lot less common to see multifamily buildings with, in that part of town. Therefore, evaluating the cash flow versus the expenses and all those financials, really what it boils down to is the numbers. And for as investors, looking at the numbers, looking at the financials, securing yourself and having a good position is vital for growth as well. Not just feeling comfortable now, but for for growing your operation and your portfolio.
Absolutely.
You guys are just firing off some gems here. I'm just sitting back and soaking
I love these
it in.
I mean, I could talk about this
it.
stuff all day. When we talk about, people, whatever their passions are, I'm passionate about this. It comes off in the energy. But like, I could talk business all day long, or forecasting, or mitigation of risk, or bankability, or commercial burring. Like, that's just like, Viagra to my brain. It's just crazy.
And I'm sure you see all these opportunities like come your way all the time with people in multifamily space. They present you with opportunities. You don't say no to these things, but in the single family space, you've built such a great network that even if a deal may not necessarily work for you, like I sent you my first deal, may not have fit your buy box, but you were able to secure somebody else with it. You made money on the deal. It doesn't matter to me, right? As long as I got what I wanted for it, and you fulfilled your promise, and that's what's important. Something that I'm very skeptical about that I want to share with you is what's happening in China, right? Aside from what's happening between China and Russia and all the war, and I have my personal opinions on what's happening. I always say follow the money with politics. The place that I grew up in, that's literally what it was. It's about the power and the money, and political leaders tend to follow that. And if you just trace the money, you'll be able to find what's going on. But with China, there's a huge problem going on with large developers, Evergrande, right? And these large developers are in debt. But if you look at who's actually funding these guys, it's people like BlackRock, a lot of the Western banks, and Michael Burry, one of the guy who actually bet against the housing market in 2008, actually said the same thing the last year. He said that the market has already crashed and we just haven't felt the ripple effect of what's going on with these developers. Do you see any correlation? Have you heard anything about that, or anything you want to share?
Specifically in China or here?
The developers, so they built apartment complexes, 500 units plus. They're in debt $300 billion, and the China has ordered to tear down all their buildings. And being such a large developer, and it's not just one developer, it's multiple. They've done the same. They've built illegal buildings, and now China's ordering them to tear down all their builds. But the people that are invested in these developer companies are majority Western banks, hedge funds like BlackRock, and so BlackRock is going on a shopping spree right now, buying as many subdivisions as they can, and so it's kind of a catch-22.
Here's my thoughts. So I'm not fully abreast of the international markets because I'm so hyper-focused on what's going on here and domestically, just because it's important to understand that. But it's also from a macro and economic perspective. We talk about the war. We talk about COVID stuff. What is the international threats, this Russian war? We talked about your high-end real estate and how big people are concerned that, are tied into these oligarchs that have billions of dollars all of a sudden are concerned, or their money's tied up for whatever reason. They got Russian connections and they can no longer pay for this $20 million mansion in Fountain Hills or whatever it may be. There's always some sort of correlation. The key is, again, why I don't invest even out of state or even internationally is control, understanding the laws. I had a conversation today on the hike with a gentleman who's doing these businesses. He's bringing in like-minded people to rent these home sharings. And I said, hey, just before you get into that or buy this 10-bedroom mansion, look at the red tape, understand the legalities and what's happening with the government. You're bringing in, we always talk about risk versus reward. If we're a Western civilization investing internationally, we don't have control of the law. We don't know what's going on with the deeds and title. Right. The yield should be huge, and there's a reason why those yields and going into those deals for the Blackstones, those hedge funds who are smarter than all of us, supposedly, but they're about risk diversification because the yields, potential yields would pull up overall an average increase in their portfolio. But of course, why is the yield so big? There's always a direct correlation between higher yield and higher risk. So when they're going into those international businesses thinking, hey, we're going to make 20, 30, 50%, and shit like this happens, that's built into the risk factor. So I'm more comfortable. I know that I can go out from a cap rate perspective and invest in Cleveland or invest in Texas or invest in, other subsidiary markets and get a higher yield, but I'm losing control. I'd rather sleep at night and take a lower potential yield because I know that I'm risk averse. So it's something to think about. Anytime you see this sexiness or you go into these Amazon stores, send me 50,000 and you're going to make 75. Don't you understand that, these potential high, returns, anyone's offering these big yields in multifamily or these syndications, you're incurring a lot of risk. So I'd say to, the litmus test is look and understand, why are they offering such a high yield? Why are they paying you a preferred return so high? Because clearly they're either inexperienced or it's a sham or who knows. They're just enticing you to bring in the money. The lower the yield, the more conservative the deal. That's why bonds are, so low, for example. So things to think about, strategic risk on your investments. That's why I don't invest internationally. I'm very particular where the money goes.
Absolutely. That's you hit it right on the head. If it's too good to be true, it's probably too
exactly.
good.
It's a no-brainer wholesale. You'll make $80,000. Well, then why are you flipping it?
Right. Right. And I think as I take on building and scaling my wholesale business, I first was a realtor, right? And as a realtor, I always approach situations a little bit differently, especially from someone who was first introduced to wholesale and only wholesale, right? Because I think as agents, we see a lot of things, especially on the psychology side of the business. And that's why I'm such an advocate for in-person hands, I shake your hand, we're feeling that energy, and that came from my retail side. And so carrying that onto my wholesale business is very important, because I want to develop leaders, and I want my people to have the tools, the same tools that I have. And something that Amir Hilali says all the time, good buddy of mine, I think you know him, Amir and Ahmed, they're the all-in guys. Okay. You might have seen them, but they're in Florida right now running a huge virtual operation. They took the system completely virtual, no acquisition person in-house, all overseas. They got a huge, it's a great, well-oiled machine. But again, he's just looking at spreadsheets all day. Yeah. It's a great system. It works for him. But for me, I want to get face front. I want to build that relationship. For somebody who's just getting into the business, right? Somebody whether they're real estate agents or wholesalers, we've touched on a few points on, building that relationship, in becoming inside out more than outside in, which I think that's something that you do a lot. Is you're out inside out and you're pouring, and people gravitate towards your energy. What is something that you can share that could help them get started or build momentum to help scale their business or grow their business?
Yeah, great question. I'm a huge advocate. You mentioned you're licensed. I'm also licensed. I tell everybody I love being licensed. The first thing that I did in my business was get licensed. It adds so much value. We talk about the tool belt. If you're just a one-man band or a one-man woman, show and you only offer one solution, you're limiting opportunities. I believe by having that license, number one, you hold yourself accountable and you tell them, hey, I'm not just some wholesaler and I'm just trying to screw you. I'm licensed. You can look me up. It immediately gives credibility. Two, you can lead with full transparency, which when I went in buying direct from people, and I think there's such, sometimes wholesalers get this bad rap, you're out there stealing equity, and there's a lot of bad wholesalers. We all know it. They're just taking advantage of, let's say, older people or situational, and not giving them what they're truly, justfully due in terms of equity, where they can still make money and create truly that win-win situation. Do deals where you're winning, they're walking away winning, and everybody's happy, and there's money on the table for everyone, and you're solving a problem. So by being licensed, and you can make money multiple ways. You're coming into the deal saying, hey, I'm going to sign this sheet. Here's current comps. I want it signed and dated, right in your subdivisions, the same houses. These are truly what they're selling for. I'm not giving you fake numbers, but understand that if I'm going to buy it, I'm not a non-for-profit. This is my line. You can use it. We're here to make money. We like to give back to charities, but also be authentic to yourself. Don't become Rich or yourself or myself. Be authentic to you, because otherwise it comes off as fake and people feel like, hey, you're just trying to portray something that you're not. Be authentic. Everyone brings unique values to the table, but understand the business by being an agent, by being an investor, a wholesaler, whatever it may be. Listen to people, understand the problems, and offer them a buffet of solutions. That way you're serving them to the highest level. Exactly. Listen, ma'am, it sounds to me like when I'm talking to you and I'm understanding consultatively, this is a consultative relationship business, it sounds to me like the money's the most important, and I get that. And so I'm here to serve you, and I use the analogy of my hat. I wear my investor hat. Here I'm Trash to Cash, Zach Ventures, and here I'm Zach Ventures, Deluxe Realty Executives. I can serve you in so many ways. I'm here to give you the best opportunity that makes the most sense for you. If you understand you're going to leave potentially, because there's no guarantee if we go retail and the disclosures and mold and spuds or whatever it may be, that you may leave 10 or 15% on the table and you're comfortable with that, initial that, because we have the current numbers here. Otherwise, hey, I understand you need this money in 2 weeks. You understand you're taking a small discount. This is what I potentially look to make. I'm telling you these numbers. I want you to initial here. They love that, because now you're writing it down. You're saying, here's the numbers. You get it. I'm breaking this down. I'm not trying to make $100,000 on this deal. Obviously, I have overhead and I got to pay people and charities and whatever it is. This is the money I'm looking to make, and I'm still serving you great. Otherwise, I'm happy to retail. I'm the best agent in the business like you guys are. We're going to get you top dollar, ma'am or sir. It may take 2 months, but we're going to get it to the finish line. I'm here to serve you, and let's rock and roll. So I would tell you for sure, get the license, hold the accountability, transparency, give multiple options, and they'll choose the best option. Either way, you're making money.
Absolutely. That's spot on. Yeah, it's been huge for me that I started in the retail space because I just have a lot of tools on my belt that I can. When I go into an appointment, you got multiple caps, and that's where it's most valuable. It's all about the value exchange, right? And people have a need that you're going to come in and fulfill. And I think that approaching it in that lens, it just opens up for more opportunities. I want to share a story with you that I had a deal about it was about a little over two and a half years ago. I met a young family a young lady with her kids and her elderly father and mother. Her father, I was setting an open house, okay? And this was the middle of summer, 100+ degree weather. And this client hops out of a van. My open house was empty. I saw them drag everybody out of the van. It's really hot, and they're coming to an open house. So her father had a walker, and he had a hard time walking, and later found out that he was ill. And when they walked in, I immediately just told them, I said, "Hey, what are you doing? Why are you coming to an open house in the middle of summer with your kids and your elderly father? There is a situation there, right?" She said, "I have a realtor, but he hasn't been able to show me any properties in the last couple weekends." And she mentioned that it was one of the large companies that out there that have these services where they connect them with a buyer showing agent, and the showing agent has to show them around and all these things. But point is, I said, there's 12 homes listed for sale within 5 blocks north and south, and I'm the only open house. I told her, "What is the likelihood of you actually seeing the house that you want to buy?" And she said, "Oh, 1 out of 15. And so I said, "Okay, how about this? I'll give you the list of properties." I shut down my open house right then and there. I literally shut down the open house. I went out and I showed her. I scheduled the listings as I was driving, and I got her into different properties. Fast forward a month later, she found a property. We got it under contract. We closed on it. The reason why they wanted to buy a house was because they're from an island. I totally forget the name of it, but it's just west of Hawaii Islands. I don't remember where it is exactly, but they're from an island. They have a big family. Okay, all her brothers are huge, and they're just the dad has had like 9 kids, boys and girls, and they had kids, and it's a huge family. And his dream was that he could have them all in one single home. Okay, they found a house. We found them a house in South Phoenix, 6 or 7 bedrooms, 1 bedroom downstairs for her father. It was perfect, huge backyard, perfect for the family gatherings. They can barbecue, do all that festivities. They absolutely loved it. She calls me a year later, exactly a year later, man. And she made me cry on that fucking call. She said, "My dad passed away today." And she said, "The only person I can think of was you. I wanted to thank you." And I'm getting emotional. She's like, "I want to thank you because you made my dad's dream come true." Now, would I have felt that wholesaling? Would I have felt that selling somebody's house in Georgia? Would I have felt that,
It's the connection.
Nah. They're clients for life. They invite me out to cookouts, and they're family, and that's the key.
If you treat people and you use the mentality, they're not clients, they're not annuities of income like, these hedge fund buyers and whatever to these tenants. If you have the mindset and treating people like family, whether you're direct family, whatever it is, you're going to be successful. Absolutely. Slow it down. It's not, the business will come. The relationships are formulated by being vulnerable, talking to them, understanding their wants and needs. It's a consultative basis, and what you did is admirable. I mean, that's exactly the right thing to do.
Yeah, and it always stuck with me. And to add to that, one of my favorite sayings is, people don't care what you know until they know you care.
There you go.
And I tell that to all my people is they don't care what you know until they know you care. So show that you care first before you do anything.
And authentically care. Don't just say, "I care." They know. They can pick up on your energy. You give them the time, and for you to drive around in South Phoenix at that time to show those houses, you're probably thinking, "Hey, this could be a waste of time," but it doesn't matter. You're serving this family. In fact, they had another buyer's agent. How did they get out of the other buyer? They didn't have a buyer.
They didn't have a buyer
Right.
broker.
And clearly the buyer broker wasn't even working with them diligently or cared about them. So good for you. Yeah.
And in
great story.
this business, like, I think you run into a lot of opportunities like that, where it's like these people are hurting, there's something going on in their life that's out of their control, and like, especially wholesaling, like that family that for the house you bought, the daughter was pregnant, they had no running water in there
That's
for
right.
a
There was
long
no
time.
water. They were bringing in water.
Yeah, they're bringing it, and like, I think one thing that like can help keep everybody energized instead of drained is like when you know like you're doing good things for them that have it has nothing to do with the deal, right? It's not linked monetarily in any way, but you're just choosing to do the right thing, and the right thing is normally the hard thing, right? The easy thing is to ignore it or just focus on the money or think, oh well, this is taken away from that, but I think that's what allows you to have a greater capacity is when it's serving this greater mission. And the mission, because it's easy, like if it's all just about money, then as soon as you have enough money to be comfortable, like you're done. You know what I mean? But if it's like, okay, everybody that I'm coming across, I'm going to shine some sort of light on that situation, because there's so much negativity and there's so much in this world that is zero sum. So when you come across like these opportunities and you're just the type of person that this is what you do, like you see someone that's hurting, you stop, like you help them, right? You see someone with a flat tire, you're just the person that will just pull over and change their tire. It has nothing to do with whoever that person in the car is. It's not because it's them. That's just how you choose to operate. And I think that's so cool, because like in this business, like I've run across people that operate that way. And like everybody I knew, like outside of this business, like most of the people I knew that were like seemingly getting ahead, they weren't like that. You know what I mean? They were just kind of like more so about themselves and their situations. But they seemed a lot less happy though than the people that I see that operate that way. I think you can get a deep satisfaction. I think for you too, Zach, like having all these tenants and everything, like these people like depend on you. You know what I mean? And you have like this great, like this impact where everything you're doing is there's like this ripple of positivity.
Everything is a domino effect. It's that whole energy thing, 100%. And you want to line your boat with you guys, for example, it's like you could be a solopreneur out there. We can also tie those tugboats together and go further, as you guys talk about your alliance and, all that stuff. You're independent, yet you're also cohesive and together. And it's that domino effect of that positivity, and that energy has a far greater impact. But so, like you said, it's about taking that high road and doing it because I believe in karma. What people are going to start to realize is by taking the high road, if you left a little money on the table and you create that win-win when it's not a zero-sum game and it's a truly, win-win, you're going to realize that there's no cap on opportunities, and good things, when you don't even realize it, unexpected, happen. It's just the way that it is. It's karma.
Absolutely. You're putting all that into the universe, and it reciprocates. That's huge. That's huge. I want to wrap it up. We've got an hour of that, and we don't want to take up too much of your time.
I love this.
We appreciate you very much.
God, it flies by. That's an hour. It felt like 5 minutes. Yeah.
It's crazy. From a local standpoint of Arizona, what are some things that you can share with people who don't know you, that have deals, that want to connect with you, to get you to add them to, whether it's their buyer list or,
Sure.
You also have a mentorship, I believe.
Yep, I had a full mentorship. We're putting that on pause right now just because the market's crazy right now. I'm working on some private stuff with family things and things like that. So when I do something, and I recommend everyone does, whenever they're putting anything, and whether it's working out their business, you don't do anything at 60, 70, 80, 92%. If I'm doing something, it's at 200%. So when I start something, I'm all in. You don't take, again, a quarter percentage off that. It doesn't matter. You want to be fully vested. But to connect with me, ZAK Ventures, just hit me up on the DM me on Instagram if you have a deal. From there, I'll give you my cell phone. I'll put it out on here. And then, we'll look at any opportunity, immediately give you an answer the same day. Appreciate that. And also tell you, here's your best bet. One thing that I've done a lot lately, just in terms of giving back, is let's analyze this opportunity. Is it something that you really want to stabilize? And I'll help you pivot. Instead of selling to me, figure out how you take it down yourself. yourself and let's figure out how to get you private money or OPM or whatever that looks like to create that as an annuity of income.
And I can vouch for this.
Yeah.
I can
Talk
vouch
about
for
this recent
so
deal.
I had a recent deal in Tempe where I was going to take down and renovate. Ran it by Zach, looked at the numbers, and gave me his honest opinion on, hey, clean it up and relist it. This is something that could definitely have value in it. You bought it at a deep enough discount. And I did just that and doubled up. So that was a huge victory. And I truly appreciate you being just genuine and honest about that because, you're a busy guy. And that's where it really boils down to is like, you don't want to be dealing with things that are inconvenient, and you don't want to be pouring your energy into people that don't deserve that. Right. So when anybody that approaches you with a deal, make sure the numbers are good, make sure it's solid, don't waste your time because then you start to get that negative connotation when you're thinking about that person or when that person sends you that next deal, right? It's super important. It's vice versa. Just as much as you want your seller to feel that speed, convenience, and reassurance that the deal is going to get done. It's the same thing between us as professionals. Right. Something I want to highlight on before
real fast.
Yeah, go ahead.
And on that as well. Super important, as you guys know, is be decisive. I'm a decisive buyer. Be a decisive seller. Don't say, well, here you're asking $350 for an opportunity, and I say, okay, I'm good at $350, and then you say, I'll let you know. That is the worst way to, whether with me or any other, real buyer. If someone's giving you exactly what you're looking for and they've committed to those terms, move forward on the deal. There's no reason to say, oh, I'm going to shop that now. If you're putting out a definitive number and somebody meets that, me or anyone else, and they're a solid, vetted buyer, you move forward. There's no reason to play games. So don't play games in terms of dispositions, same way that we don't play games on the acquisitions. Or, hey, I'll tell someone, if I can't get your number, here's my number. Go shop it for a day. I'm happy. If you can make more money, there's no emotion to me. I value the relationship, and I give you a solid number. There's a lot of benefits also if you're a buyer, you're fix and flipper watching this. If the numbers don't work, give that wholesaler definitive numbers. Sometimes they may need to retrade, and it salvages the deal and be definitive. Yes, at this number, I'm 100% go, subject to a 5-minute walkthrough. And if that works for you, great. And if not, hey, leverage that number to make more money for yourself. That's a huge value to wholesalers, which they'll appreciate because then they know that, there's a guarantee there.
There's a nugget to pull from that, and that's making black or white decisions. Don't make any gray decisions. That's something that I'm trying to instill in myself because as a leader, as a business owner, it's very important that you're making decisions that you're moving forward and you're giving it 100%. And so for a lot of new entrepreneurs, they come in and they see wholesaling, it's great, and they see realtors and they want to get their license, do retail, do wholesale, do Amazon, do this, stocks, blah, blah, blah. Now you're doing 20%, and you're just spread out wide, thin, and you're not accomplishing much. And you're busy, every day you're busy, but you're not productive. And that's really a big downfall that you can, fall into that loophole. But another thing that I wanted to touch on is professional relationships, which is we've been talking about. I know, but outside of people that are sending you deals and things like that, you're building connections with title companies, private lenders, banks, all these. How important is that in your business, especially as a one-man operation? And what does that look like day in and day out?
Great question. I love that. So you always want to be mindful. These title companies, they're interacting with a million different wholesalers, and they can bridge the gap from a million people that you don't know that they know, and in return, they're going to drive more business. So whenever you're engaging with anybody in the business, don't forget to pivot in the conversation and always tell them, hey, as a reminder, I would love the opportunity to meet anyone in your network that you feel will be a good fit, and we're going to give that business, of course, back to you. Same thing on these professional relationships. If another wholesaler introduces me to, another wholesaler and I do business, I'm going to make sure they're going to be part of that deal. You never want to do these unrun. You got to always remember, where do these relationships originate from, and respect these relationships. You try and do end runs around someone, or someone's a wholesaler and they sell you a deal and they know they have another end buyer and you try and sell to them through the wholesaler, you look like an idiot. So be respectful of the order and origination of those relationships, but always put in there and manifest and project who you are and what your buy boxes are. Perfect example. And also authenticity and differentiating yourself. I say dumb shit all the time because I don't care. Like, I'll walk into a title company, they're like, hi, what's your name, sir? You're here to check in? Yeah, it's Big Sexy for a signing. They're like, Big Sexy? They're like, is that your LLC? No, that's just my name. We don't have you, for signing. So if you want to be memorable. So stand out, differentiate yourself in a way that's authentic to yourself, that will give you some sort of branding, for whatever that may be. Or I wear a hat that says trash to cash. whatever manifests with you, whatever's, relevant, stick to that and use that as a dynamic so people retain who you are and they say, hey, that guy was funny. I want to do more deals with them. So walking to the title companies, walking into banks, I always lead, who else should I know? Who do you know that came in today or this week or this month that I don't know? I'd love to host a brunch, or I'd like to host a luncheon with these other wholesalers and, or investors or agents or whoever it may be, because there's this business comes from multiple people. It's a small knit, small community. Let's connect and let's have these intimate lunches. And then in return, remember who created those relationships and give back to them. So you always want to reciprocate. Don't just be, again, going back to the leech mentality, be the charger, not the drainer in terms of the energy in the battery.
It's almost like a network, and you become a piece of that network, and you're pulling people in here and you're giving here, and it's a value exchange.
Always.
And then, how many times have you had a connection where you met somebody and then immediately you're like, man, this person and this person could get along really well, and
all the time.
And they do, and then that sparks another fire, and that's positive. You're putting that into the world, and
Exactly.
I love that. It's something that I aspire to do more of, and
But I see you guys doing that, your podcast, the way you guys are out there, the exposure that you guys are doing with your live calls, Rich, on your coaching, or your different strategies for your wholesaling opportunities. By just providing free, valuable data is creating huge value add to people that have no idea, what's going on out there. So you may don't even realize that you're doing it, but you're doing it. And you both have authenticity and uniqueness that you're bringing to the table. Your Habibi stuff, your tattoos and working out stuff. These are really cool things that have positive impact on not just the local, but national, international, impact, which is huge.
I love that. And I think your hike was a big thing that really inspired REI allies, because I remember, there's tons of people I met from that I've done deals with.
They're good people that come
they're just
out. They're
good,
great people. Yeah.
And it just made me think, okay, these people, they all have, I can see why Zach gets along with them. You know what I mean? And I was like, man, maybe if we just put out that energy that we're looking to connect, we'll attract people like us too. And It's been awesome. The people that we've been able to bring into the group, and, other people see what we're doing and they want to be a part of it. And it's just a beautiful thing, man.
I think something that you do a lot, and I love, is you highlight and you give credit where it's due. And I think that's super important, because a lot of people, especially as they come up in the business, they don't have that, they don't have that platform to expose themselves, to show themselves, and people in the hike, first time I went, you gave a shout out, you told everybody about the deal that we crushed, and that was huge, and it gives credibility, but also opens up the opportunities for other people to connect and learn more about you, and it breaks that ice. So it's huge, and being the leader of that is even more credibility for you, because then people see that, and your energy's out there, and that continues to accumulate, and there's no better thing than to have that, for somebody to be leading a group like that. So
I'm grateful. I mean, at the end of the day, it's my company, but I'm grateful for the crews, for the bankers, for my assistant, everybody. We're a family. We're a team. I couldn't have done it without them. Again, everything is relationships, is that family mentality, and being grateful. Even this platform we've done, but even if we didn't do business, we'd still be friends, because you guys are good people, and that's the key, to business, is just being humble. And that we talked about here, shiny object symbols and all that stuff. Lead with real value. Don't lead with the pretentious BS. That stuff gets old very quickly. It's attracting what I think the wrong people. If you need to put that out there, you're masking something. Just be authentic. Show what you do on a vulnerable level, and people will appreciate that. That's why, again, we talked about, hey, what questions? We don't need any questions. We're going to authentically have good conversations to add value, because it's not fake. If you're always authentic, you're the same way you are on camera, and you're not bullshitting people and screwing people around, good things are going to happen. So just forget about this pretentious BS. Be authentic to yourself. Lead with value. Take the higher ground that we talked about, Rich, and you guys still lead in your business. You're going to be successful. The key components: put in the work. Be consistent.
Absolutely. I think you nailed it, because you putting in the work, right, on everything, business-wise, health-wise.
Yep.
You got to put in the work. You know what I mean? There's the shortcut is to just do the work. You know what I mean? Everyone's trying to find all these ways to get around doing the work, but
There's no secret.
that
I see
is the
you
secret.
grinding every day, posting the videos, doing the pull-ups, going to the park. You two at the gym in the morning, and you guys are not overnight successes. You are grinders. We're all grinders, and we have that Midwest mentality and that work ethic. That your stories are amazing. Coming from virtually nothing to where you're at today it's amazing. I'm very proud of you guys as well. It's an incredible journey.
Thank you. And that's just the beginning.
Absolutely.
Sky's the limit.
You're 24. You're what? 26?
Yeah, 26. That's right.
Okay. All right.
Not to be 38, but
There you go.
yeah, man.
Hey man, age is but a number. For people that are young, I think the biggest thing for me when I got into the business, I had a really good buddy of mine, Sirwan, and he told me this. He said, if you continue to do what you do every day, don't underestimate what you can accomplish in 1 year, let alone 10, right? This is why I value my time over everything, and I'm able to jump on opportunities right away because I understand that my biggest leverage is time.
Absolutely.
And between you and I, the portfolio you have versus what I have, it may not be as in terms of magnitude, as a scale as big as yours, the volume. That's okay. I don't look at it and say, wow, his grass is so green. It's more so, hey, my grass is not green yet, but I can continue to water it, and over time, that is going to manifest and become that because of my hard work.
Absolutely.
And so that's what I think is super important to instill in young people is we're in that instant gratification world of social media, online shopping. Everything is here now, give me right away. And so we want to get away from that as a society to try to cultivate relationships. I always think about this as nature is so beautiful, yet it rushes nothing. Right? It just takes its time, and it grows and it grows, and it just becomes what it is. And so that's truly who we are as business owners, as sons, as fathers, as boyfriends, as husbands, all that. So thank you so much, man.
Thank you guys.
Really appreciate your time.
Great
it's been
chat,
incredible.
Beautiful evening, great energy, blessed. Again, leave it like that, like you said. It's a marathon, not a sprint.
Not a race, yes.
And so that's
absolutely.
it. So run your marathon, stay in your lane, enjoy the race in each mile, and be grateful for that journey, and align yourself with amazing people like yourself, and have a good time at the end of the day. Take a breath. Enjoy the journey. Have some fun. Best of luck to everybody. Thanks, guys.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
This was great.
Awesome, man.
Woo!